Hello, my name is Kadesta Prothro, and I have the privilege of interviewing Professor Silvester Carl Henderson. I know him as the chair of the music department of Los Medanos College in Pittsburgh, California. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine.
Great, glad to hear that. I would like to start out with you giving just a little explanation of what you do, the college you work for, and then a little bit about the district so we can put everything in context if you don't mind.
Okay, so my name is Professor Silvester Carl Henderson. I'm very honored. First of all, before I even start on myself, can you remind me once again the university that you're doing this project for?
This is for Grand Canyon University out of Phoenix, Arizona. It's the School of Psychology, and this particular class itself is business coaching. So it's learning how to coach in a business environment, which is different than doing an individual.
Wow, thank you. Okay, Grand Canyon University. Okay, I am honored to assist you in your graduate studies. Once again, my name is Professor Silvester Carl Henderson. I am the department chair for Los Medanos College. Los Medanos College is one of the three colleges that make up the Contra Costa Community College District. We are a district that back in, I believe it was the year 2021 to 2022, we had an annual count of about 41,364 students. We're down significantly in terms of our student enrollment. There was a time where we were close to 90,000 students. I have been with the district now. This is my 31st year. I've completed 30 full-time years as a tenure professor. And I had 1 year that I worked part-time from 1993 to 1994. I've held many positions. Of course, I'm the director of vocal and choral activities and keyboard studies at the college. I've worked in the role of department chair. This is starting my 17th year. I worked in the role of the academic senate president for the college at Los Medanos College. I also was fortunate enough to be given the task to work as the district senate president for the entire district. That's where I represented around over 2,000 professors. I think at that time it may have been close to 2,500. So I was the primary voice for all the professors in the whole district. I also worked as the vice president of what we call our Faculty Senate Coordinating Council, which is really the representing body that represents the full-time faculty from all the colleges. We are made up of 3 colleges and 2 education centers. Los Medanos College, Diablo Valley College located in Pleasant Hill, and Contra Costa College, I believe that's located in San Pablo, as Los Medanos College is in Pittsburgh. In addition to those various tasks, I've had an opportunity to serve as an executive member for 3 years for the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges. That is where we represented, 60,000 faculty members throughout the entire system. That was quite an auspicious appointment. I did it for 3 years, and then I had an opportunity for a year to go into administration in an acting role. I worked as an acting dean for College of Alameda, the STEAM department, where I was over, I believe, 13 to 14 areas. And they were not just music areas. They were biology, chemistry, science, anthropology, technology, computer science, chemistry, math, just a variety of areas. Because many know I also, during that time, I've had a more limited schedule here recently, but for about 7 years, I started in 2015, I took a part-time post working at College of Alameda as well as Los Medanos College. And College of Alameda is part of the Peralta Community College District. And I love them equally as much as I do Contra Costa. And in fact, in many ways, they have been able to accomplish some tasks that Contra Costa still struggles with, and then vice versa. It's really interesting working in two different systems because the systems are so unique and they're so very, very different. In addition to got so many tasks, I also run a volunteer company called Professor for Life Incorporated, where I interview academics all over the world, famous professors and scholars from all over the world. And I also work at a big old church as the minister of music, director of music that I've been at. This is my, I believe, going on 43 years.
Oh my gosh. The key is you're the perfect person that I need to interview. I need to ask about 15 questions. And I also look forward to getting on that list of people that you interview.
Oh, absolutely.
That's going to be fun. So do me a favor. Does your district, have a mission statement? What is the mission statement of your district? Do they have a
yeah, we have a mission statement. I can't say exactly what it is, but I believe I know it. I believe the first thing I wanted to address is our culture of our district.
Oh, okay, please go ahead.
As we go into the culture of the Contra Costa Community College District is very unique in that we have a lot of practices that support student learning in general. Okay. One character that we do have as a system is that we are super organized as a structure. Okay. The Contra Costa Community College District, as well as Los Angeles College, is super organized. In terms of our organizational structure, the culture is that that's one great, I would say, organizational culture that we have. Another culture that we have is that there really is a great emphasis on student success.
Excellent.
Student success for all of our students. And currently, I would say, especially within the last 8 to 10 years, the district has really focused a lot of its efforts around trying to support current trends around diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we are still developing more holistically into organization that has been successful in all those areas. But there is a great effort to help our African American students. There's a great effort to give equality to our LGBTQ students, to bring a lot of success for our Latino and Latina students, and our Asian Pacific Islander students. So one of the cultures is that we love students, we're organized, we love students, and I believe our instruction is superb. I'm not going to mention the areas that I feel that we could improve in from my perspective until we get down to that. Now, you also asked the question of what is the mission statement? Yes. Our mission statement is to really educate our students, and our mission statement really, let me go back, it kind of works along with some of the 5 principles of the California Community College system. The community college system, one of the main missions that they have is, the first one is to create transfer opportunities to the UC and the CSU, the University of California at Berkeley system and the California State University system. So that's one of our main missions. Second, we have a mission of having programs that sort of is like a doctorate in career education.
Okay.
So the person that wants to become an electrician, they don't necessarily need to obtain a bachelor's degree. They need to get certification to help them to go and instantly get a job making maybe $78,000 to $80,000 or $90,000. So that's one of our missions as well. And that mission aligns with the California Community College system. Another thing that we do is that we allow students the opportunity to explore their interest. So we have many of our students in the community college. We have a large, I would say, returning student population. And we also have a lot of students that come from our local high schools and abroad and international as well to come and attend the college. This kind of works holistically and kind of aligns with the California community colleges as well, because one of our goals is to encourage online education. So I go back and retract. We talked about AA degrees, AA and associate's degrees, and I didn't mention earlier, but transfer degrees, where there is a scheme, an academic scheme that has been laid out, curricular scheme for the students to follow, and these students are able to complete these courses by clearly taking these particular courses. It's guided pathways in a sense. And then we have, we deal with career technical education, and we deal with having academic opportunities for many of our returning students and some of our high school students. And then we also do a lot of joint instruction, not as much as we should, and I know the system is probably working at that more, to try to see if we can have more instructors to begin to teach in the local high schools for students who want to transfer. And one of the things that we are very good at is helping students to complete their academic goals and their career goals. We generally, at graduation, offer more associate's degrees in terms of being completed, but we have a sizable amount. I would probably dare say 300-400 of our students, most of the time at graduation, maybe more, or have certificates as well and complete our certificate program. So those are some of the 4 areas that I know as a district and all the colleges focus on as well.
Excellent. Now, do me a favor, just to back up a little bit. What is the organizational structure of the district? You know, how is it set up?
Let me show you. I'm glad you asked that. I want to see if I can show you right now our organizational structure.
Excellent. Thank you.
We have, of course, the citizens of Contra Costa County. We have a governing board. We have our chancellor and her team. We have the chancellor's office and various positions within that realm of the organization. We have administrative services, human resources that are there. We also have police services, finance services, education and technology, educational services, research and planning, information technology, facility planning and construction, communication and community relations, and let me see, I believe we may have one more, internal audit services.
Okay.
So it's a very, very large system. One of the things that I would like to mention is, generally, I thought it was interesting for years, Mrs. Harris, and we're going to say future Dr. Harris, Dr. Kadesta Prothro Harris, okay? One of the things that I thought was interesting, is interesting in community colleges, you generally don't find a provost.
Okay.
Many of the responsibilities of a provost is like this person who's in second command for the district. Generally, in most community colleges, you will have an executive vice chancellor who will take care of many of the roles of a provost that you will find at the UC system or the CSU. And so I just wanted to mention that because sometimes when you think in terms of the district, most people know that we have a chancellor, but a lot of people don't know that most people think sometimes that we have a provost, but we have a provost, but the responsibilities of the provost are generally, we call that position, from my perspective, an executive vice chancellor.
Okay. Okay, so that makes sense. Excellent, excellent structure. It's real clear as what the responsibilities are, and that's excellent. Okay, I want to switch over to talk about your relationship with students. What is, what, just describe what kind of relationship do you have with students interfacing with them?
Uh, you know what? I think students, for general, love me.
Mm-hmm.
I have a reputation as being a very good professor. Now, it's been challenging, especially teaching during the COVID time, because some students love me, some students hate me. But I find the ones that hate me are generally the ones who don't want to read the assignments, and they want you to baby them. My relationship with students is enormous. I have had a lot of success as a core professor, not only at Los Angeles College, but at the University of California at Berkeley, where I worked as a lecturer for 20 years. My relationship with students is more like, I would believe, more like an uncle, niece, nephew. I work with students, as you've been one of my students in the past. I work with students just like they're a family member. I tend not to worry about all of the laws about what you can and cannot say, because in my heart I deeply love students, and for the most part, I've had a couple of students complaints in 31 years, but I don't think I've had 5.
That's good.
I don't think I've had 5 in 31 years. Now, the ones that I did have complaints from, they were generally students who, for whatever the reason, maybe I misunderstood their concern, or maybe I was too busy, and that's been one of my challenges. I recall having this one student that wrote a challenging description of me, and I owned it, because for whatever the reason, this student was coming from Pleasanton to study voice with me, and every time the student came to the campus, I would make an appointment, and somehow 3 or 4 times I kept forgetting. And that's not like me, but it just happened. So the student probably made an assumption that this is the wacko teacher. And so when the student wrote a public acknowledgement on Rachel Professor, which I don't really care, but I do care, but I don't care, but I don't care, It didn't really bother me, because I said, well, the student was right. As it relates to that particular incident, I was wrong. But for the most part, I'm very stern and loving. And generally what has happened, as you know, Mrs. Harris, most of the students initially are taken back by my strong personality, and they're taken back by my clear and concise, no middle ground directions.
Sure. And that is a leadership style. And there's nothing wrong with it. That is a leadership style. Now, how does that transfer into how you get along with fellow instructors, other professors? How's your relationship?
I think the faculty at the college, I probably only had 1 or 2 faculty members that didn't like me at all. Most of my colleagues, they respect me highly. I've had incidences that I won't mention where there were some challenges with a particular faculty member. But you know what? I chose to take the high road regarding that matter, even though it was a painful situation. I still chose to take the high road, because one of the things I learned about, not just that situation, but one of the things I've learned in being a professor and just working with so many people, I mean, thousands and millions of students and faculty professionals, is that interpretation is very unique. You can mean something deeply from your heart as positive, and someone else can interpret it as being constructive. So I had to ask myself, now, what could I have done differently, which I deem nothing, but instead of holding on to some, I would say, poor feelings, I decided to take the higher road and it's still in the back of my mind, but I kind of dismissed it as not being a major topic anymore as it relates to this one incident. But overall, the faculty members, where I have the problem is generally not the faculty members, it's probably more with the administration. And I'm going to be honest. The faculty members love me to death because I speak the truth. Mm-hmm. I'm not afraid. I'm not, my feeling of wanting to become tenure was I wanted the freedom to be able to teach students and explore. And this is the big issue now that is really perplexing colleges and universities all over the world. Because unfortunately, I'm very close to many administrators nationwide. Sure. But at times, faculty, administrative professionals don't understand me because somehow, I'm not sure how this works, but sometimes in academic institutions, everybody wants to dump on somebody. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's like, in the community college sometimes, you have full-time tenure faculty that sometimes need to be more sensitive to part-time faculty members.
Sure.
You have professionals, academic professionals that need to be more sensitive to classified workers. Then sometimes you have full-time classified workers who need to be more sensitive to part-time hourly workers. And then you have administrators who need to be more sensitive to faculty members. And I believe that unfortunately something about our system globally, not just Contra Costa, is that sometimes that message is lost. And then what happens is that this level of importance come in, and it's like, I say something, you jump. Well, the challenge with me is that I don't scare very easily.
Okay.
I just don't. But it has nothing to do with Contra Costa. I'm like that everywhere I go.
Sure.
Because I work extremely, extremely hard. And I figure that if you could find something wrong that I've done, even through investigations I've been in, if you can find something wrong that I've done, then I will acknowledge it. But all the investigations I've had, they always come back with no, not sustained. Because one of the things I do, I read policies in small print no one else does. I learned that from working at UC Berkeley for 20 years and facing that monster.
Sure.
20 years. And so I would say overall, my relationship with the faculty of my district and my college, I would give myself 93% an A.
Excellent. Excellent.
But I would say with the administrators, it's probably more in the 70%.
Okay. Okay.
You know, and so I'm being very honest. Oh yeah, it's a passing grade. I think that many times it's because they may not understand this crazy man, and I don't understand them. But one of the things I do with everyone, whether I understand them or not, I have a unique ability. I cannot necessarily like you as a person, but I can respect what you do.
Sure. That's
excellent. That is the art of being professional.
That's
I've actually worked next to people that, quite frankly, I can't stand at all. Mm-hmm. And that if they were not here, and I'm going to be kind, it wouldn't bother me at all. Okay. But yet, in a professional world, you are to give everyone equalized respect and equal respect. And so one of the things that I try to do is that I try to look above the situation and always remain respectful. At least that's from my perspective. Some others may determine that differently.
Yeah, no, that's excellent.
So I hope I answered your question.
You answered it beautifully. I want to switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
Just looking at your district or either your actual individual college where you are. Can you give me 3 to 5 positive attributes? And you've actually already done it. I just want to focus so that we're talking exactly about that. But what are positive attributes that your district or your actual college does that you really, really like about your college?
Oh, I can tell you 3. We're organized, we're systematic, we're organized, and we're procedural.
Excellent. Great answers. Now, same way on the other side. 3 to 5 negative attributes that you find. And they don't have to be bad. They just have to be things that don't seem to give as much as the positive does.
I have to answer that carefully.
Yes, please do.
You know what? I would say 3 things that are constructive. I'm going to redefine that word.
Okay, constructive.
That we need to do more profoundly. Is to make sure that our outcomes match our words.
Okay.
One thing.
Okay.
2, look more kindly, not across the board, for course and class management, but do more research in terms of subject, in terms of how you deal with areas and disciplines based on subjects. For instance, if you have a chemistry class, it is more likely that you're going to have smaller classes than, for instance, having maybe a beginning English writing class. So maybe when you are canceling or encouraged to cancel courses, that you look at the subject area more. 3, so that's one thing I want to say before I go to number 3. That I don't like the way we do. I wish we could have more sensitivity or some form of a structure that requires more looking at the subject area more. 3, I believe that we need a greater alignment of our compensation between faculty and administrators. Because in the college system, from my perspective, these are only my perspectives.
Sure.
Where you find a $30,000 to $40,000 difference between a first-year dean and a senior professor, when you have differences that enormous, I've always noticed there's always trouble. But wherever because money is not what is important, but compensation is the tool that the system uses to validate the value of their employees. Not the money itself that's important, but the money and the compensation signifies the value.
Exactly.
And so to me, when there's such a large difference between the administration and the faculty, and I still believe we have that gap. Not as bad as it was, because we were recently given a raise, and I'm grateful. But I still think that we are a terribly low at our compensation structure is low, and our administrative structure, from my perspective, is super high. I believe that they need to decrease and we could increase.
Excellent. And that I thought you gave very, very good constructive attributes that could be improved. I don't work in the field, but I think I would feel the same way about those things. So thank you. Thank you for that. What do you perceive as the future of your district or the future of your particular college? What do you see? What do you feel like the future is going to be?
Online. I believe that we're kind of 50-50 now, that we're kind of an organization that promotes online education. Originally, online was about online instruction, if I believe, was around 15 to 20% of our college curriculum course offerings. But I believe going forward, we're going to have to increase many of our programs and begin to hire professors to teach specifically online. So I perceive this as being the online topic, the digital learning, as an ongoing conversation. I will be out of there by then because, I'm old school. But yes, I believe that is one area that we really need to place more funding and more money, because I believe that area is going to help us to address the current needs of our students. The COVID did a lot for higher education.
Okay.
COVID did a lot. The pandemic forced organization and families, quite frankly, to begin to assess how they do things.
Okay, you're right.
For instance, in churches, I played for, everyone knows the Promise Baptist Church. I've been there like 42, almost 43 years. And we used to have pretty much a 2-hour and 15-minute service. And we had this gigantic music department and all the things that went along with the African American Baptist Church music program. And we were wonderful. But during the pandemic, when we came back, the service has sort of streamlined itself. And I noticed that a lot of services now are an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and a half is long. And so I think just as the world has streamlined their operational strategies, the district is going to have to really get on board more so and begin to look at not just 50% of instruction, but they're going to have to start looking at more online instruction, and face-to-face would come secondary. Now, that's just my 2 cents on it. The challenge is, what do you do with all of these buildings that are built? My own perspective, and this is just Silvester Henderson, perhaps they could rent the buildings out to local businesses, create campus satellite colleges from many of our 4-year partners, CSU. Sure. I would love for us to have a Cal State East Bay right at Los Medanos College, where the students don't have to go anywhere. People who want to finish a bachelor's degree in math, they finish LMC and go coming right back to the LMC campus, but now they're a 4-year student.
Exactly, because things have changed tremendously. That COVID, along with the high gas prices, that kind of stuff, to have to travel has become a financial strain. Even right. So, I had a question that talked about the development of your organization over the next 10 years, but you actually just described it. Over the next 10 years, it would be to the benefit to go into this online type of presence and do it even more so. So that's great. I want to jump to something, because you mentioned something a couple of times. You've actually taught on the CSU level, which is the California State University level, which is, if I'm not mistaken, it's the largest college system in the United States. Am I correct?
I know for sure in California, but I believe so.
Okay, so
the California State University is, I believe, the largest in the United States, but I haven't looked that up. But I know it's one of the largest. The largest college system in California is the California Community College System.
Makes sense. And then,
but the 4-year system, 4-year colleges, the California State University is the largest.
That makes sense. And then you've got the UC system, and you have had the privilege to teach in all 3 systems for long periods of time. In fact, you were at one point, were you teaching in all 3 of them at the same time? Or
I was. Yeah. I was a much younger fella during those days. People tell me now, they say, "Oh, you don't look your age." I won't tell my age. I tell them my back knows my age.
There you go. So I'd like to ask you a couple of questions in regards to those 3 systems, okay? First of all, I'd like for you to speak to the differences between the community college system, the CSU system, and the UC system. Even what their personal goals are, what the colleges, what they focus on.
The UC system, I enjoyed it. It is a system that really concentrates on building intellectual capacity.
Okay. That's the University of California.
That's the University of California.
Are they private?
It builds great thinkers.
Okay.
It builds students that have the ability to formulate ideas and to research and to write and to really communicate in an effective way. So the minds of many of the UC system students are just simply wonderful.
And are they private or are they a public school as
They're
well?
public university.
They're public university.
It's a public university, but they receive so much funding from endowments because remember, the University of California, Berkeley, where I taught from 1985 to 2005, they are, oh God, they were like 165 years. If I add that, what, 19, I think it was 1865 to 2023, they're probably like 158 or 160 years old. They've been around a long time. And I can have the dates slightly off, but they've been around for decades. I mean, if you look at movies, early movies back in the early 1900s, you know, these rich families would be sitting around the table and talking about John going to UC Berkeley. You know, UC Berkeley has been the name of educational supremacy and excellence for mega years. And so my years there, even though I had some struggles because I was working in a field of music and art that was really unknown to the college, and strictly because the form of music that I represented was not system-wide recognized as being valuable. So I had the task of trying to show its value, which I did.
Pioneer.
Continue to do. But I really appreciate the mind of UC professors and administrators because they tend to be individuals who have a greater, I don't want to say a greater, but they focus a lot on building intellectual capacity. And they're super smart generally. The CSU system, the professors are very dedicated to student growth, but yet they're really not a research institution, but they do research. And that's what makes them the most complicated, I believe. Because they're really not a research institution, but yet they do research. And many of my friends who are professors there, they don't complain, but they're concerned because sometimes they feel lost. Because the systems, from my perspective, that receive a lot of support is the California Community Colleges, which is a teaching institution. So our main goal in the California Community College is to teach and to, we're not about research. So we teach what the UC professors have researched. Many of the CSU is kind of in the middle. They're a teaching institution and they do research, but they're technically not a research institution. So I hear that, and I feel that, and when I worked there, that was the first place that I worked at the California State University. I was a professor from 1984 to 1994 at San Francisco State University. I taught music theory and piano. And back during those days, I was learning how to be a teacher, so I didn't focus on too much any other items except that. I didn't really know anything about the administrative structure. I was just a young man in those days, struggling to take care of family and trying to learn how to become a good teacher. And so you know what? That's all I concentrated on. But as I got older and understood the framework of the higher education master plan, now I see that they really gave me the confidence. The California State University is really, really good in giving students confidence. I have a lot of gratefulness for San Francisco State University because they gave me the confidence to feel that I was a higher educational professional because I grew up super, super poor and from a very challenged family. And so when I went there, one of the things I would define this. I'm not finishing my sentence structure, which is not good sometimes. But you know what? I'm going to define the CSU as a continuation of the community college.
Okay.
So you got the community college, which is the teaching institution that spends an enormous amount of time with students. You have the California State University, which continues the mission to the completion of the bachelor's degree. And so they develop more liberal, they really develop liberal thinking.
Okay.
They develop a lot of liberal thinking, liberal ideas, and they encourage their students to complete their task.
Okay.
And then you have the UC system, which I believe combines both areas, the teaching and the inquiry, and create intellectual capacity.
I love that. Now, just out of curiosity, and this is just a side question. If, let's say, a high schooler comes from inner city, you know, not necessarily their high school prepared them for college, then the next step would be to go to the community college. It sort of takes what they've learned in the high school and teaches them to structure it in such a way that they can continue to learn and grow and expand themselves. Going from the community college, like you make the reference, going to a CSU would work well for them. But can they make that jump? Let's say, you know, you're going from the community college, you've learned how to think, you've learned how to use your intellect more. You go to the CSU system, will continue to foster that and even teach you some things about researching. Can you make that jump from the CSU, like say, into the master's program at a UC school? Is that possible? Will you learn enough?
It is possible. That's where it's the student's individual presentation at the time of application that's important, and the relationships they have with their professors. I tell students all the time, your professors are really your spokespersons, because amongst college professors, there's a whole community of us. You know, generally, unfortunately, the community college professors don't talk to the CSU professors. The CSU professors don't interrelate with the UC professors. Everybody have their own individual societies.
Sure.
The challenge is, the reason that I have relationships with all three segments is only because I was employed in all three segments. And that's sort of the pride of my career. That I've had the opportunity to work 10 years in the California State University system. And I worked anywhere between 40% and full-time 100%. And then I worked 0.4 for the University of California system for 20 years. And then I've been full-time tenure professor at Los Medanos College for 30 years and 1 year part-time. And then don't forget the fact, I don't want to leave Peralta out, because I love the Peralta Community College District. I absolutely adore them.
There you go.
It is very, very different dealing with the community for the Peralta Community College District. They get me, and I get them.
It's a good fit. It's a good
Oh, God, yes. It's the campus that has more people of color.
Okay.
And I find that my communication is heard greater there.
Sure.
Even though my identity and all of my success has been at Contra Costa, emotionally, I think I fit very well with the Peralta Community College District. I absolutely adore them. I'm grateful to the Contra Costa Community College District for the many years of employment. And I'm grateful for the validation of value from the Peralta Community College District.
There you go. You know, one of the things that we've been talking about is in this last week or so of studies is morale. And what I hear when I hear the energy that the Peralta system has done, just in your world, it's a push for your morale. You know, it
absolutely.
It changes your
energy. I absolutely adore them. The challenge is that I believe good faith, humanity, and God sent me to Contra Costa. We have struggled. But I love them too. I really do. They may not know that, but I do. And I am appreciative to them. But you're talking about a system where there were no people that looked like me for 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
And so that was a challenge for a black man who came from the inner city to be in a department where there was no one that looked like me at all. And in administration, we've done better. but we did not have a lot of people of diversity at all.
There you go.
And so, it was very challenging for me because it was just a cultural difference. But when I went to, when I started working part-time at Peralta, it really healed my heart.
Excellent.
I only had one class that at that one time back in 2015. It healed my heart because the things that I had struggled with at Contra Costa, I didn't have no problem at Peralta.
Exactly.
I could talk and be who I am as a person, no problem. But I always felt, not from the faculty or the students, but I always felt this sense of not totally belonging.
Exactly. So there is a culture that exists and has
absolutely.
existed in the Contra Costa system. That's another thing that we've been working on. Just looking at that cross. It's called cross culturing, and
right.
Coming to understand that makes a difference. So if you had an opportunity, this is a question. I only have about 2 or 3 more questions. If you could combine 2 or 3 things from, like, if you could create your perfect school, we have this thing where you have a genie in the bottle and you rub the genie and you tell them this perfect thing that you want. With everything that you've picked up from the CSU, from the UC, from Contra Costa, and from the Peralta system. Just 2 or 3 things that you would do to create this perfect educational system. What would it be?
Oh my God. I could create a Mr. Gospel University.
Okay.
What I would do, first of all, is to get rid of all the formality, but maintain the organizational structure.
Okay.
So I would refocus the organizational structure to be organized but less formal, to attract more students and to be able to meet students where they're at.
Good.
I would have the UC professors to learn that language and intellectual growth and capacity is important. But if you're talking to a student and they don't know what in the world you're saying, all your intellect means nothing.
Exactly.
You have to meet the students where they're at. That would be the first thing. So I would say, I would shift the organization from less formality to being more systematic, and focusing more on using whatever strategies you need to reach the students, rather than forcing everyone to work within this bubble. One thing.
I get it.
The second thing is that I would start making allocations of funding based on the natural skills of the students in order to move our students of color from areas where perhaps they have not had an opportunity to explore to areas where they need to grow. In order to teach math, I would use music, dance, and art, which are some of our sports, and begin to have more courses that are developed that are simply like reading an Ebony magazine.
Sure.
And take assignments such as that, and the character of those type of cultural examples, and sort of move them into the curricular structure of all the courses, so that we all unite. Because as students are learning, you're teaching intellectual growth. Yes. Intellectual growth does not necessarily mean words. Thirdly, I would eliminate all of these areas of administrators. I would require that all the administrators teach. And you should not be allowed to be an administrator, from my perspective, unless you have been a tenured faculty professional for 15 to 20 years. Because really, how can you, from my perspective, How can you really administer over an area that you know nothing about?
Exactly.
Those are the three things that I believe the system would operate more effectively, and we would be a united system as opposed to one that deals with teaching, ones that deal with extending the liberal art thinking, and one that deals with intellectual growth and capacity development.
I would go to that university if it exists.
Could we call it Mr. Gospel University?
We can call it Mr. Gospel University.
You're so kind to me.
This is my absolute final question that I have for you. And it asks, what inspired you to remain at Los Medanos College for so many years? I think I know the answer. Yeah, and that's because I happen to know you. But what inspired you to remain at Los Medanos?
It was the students.
I knew that was the answer. That's perfect. Keep going, please.
Because I love students.
Yeah.
I have had such a wonderful, absolutely, it's been a marriage.
Yes.
Of wonderful students. I have argued with students. I haven't had to divorce any students. All of my students have remained, even the ones that don't like me sometimes. They leave and come back a year later and say, I had a man that wrote an evaluation and said, oh, Professor Henderson had me to lay on the ground. What he didn't understand was I was having him to complete a practice and a structure that would help him to feel his breathing more effectively. He wasn't ready for it. But then about a year later, he came back and said, you know what? I noticed when I did that, my singing improved. I said, absolutely. But at that time, it seemed so unusual because I'm an unusual man. It seemed as though he was fighting. And so I have things that happen like that all the time. I have students that were students of mine at UC Berkeley. I just happened to look online last night and seen a student that I think is special assistant to the Attorney General for the United States.
Excellent.
And students who are judges and doctors and pastors and other professors. What has kept me at Los Medanos is that I was fulfilled at UC Berkeley, and I loved teaching the students. I worked in African American studies as well as the music department. And at the CSU system, San Francisco State University, I worked primarily in the music department. I mean, I have students now that are 50 years old, and they come back and say, people think I was rough now. I was rough and total crazy. I probably think I was crazy then. I have students that, because one of the things that I've been consistent about is that if you're on time, you're already late. You know, my belief is that if you're on time, you're already late. A class can't start at 9 and you arrive at 9. That means you're already late. And so I believe totally in structure and discipline, structure and persistence. But all of that is because I deeply love the art of teaching. I deeply love people. I deeply love students. I don't care whether the students are black, white, straight, gay, whatever. You know, Asian, Latino. I love all the students. You know, I have developed a language of just common sense for teaching. I don't look at myself as being the greatest professor in the world. I just tell people I've had the greatest students in the world. And,
you know, if I can tag onto that, I was fortunate enough to be your student, and I went back to school in my 50s. And there are people who know how close I am, knock on wood, to being 70 years old. And I went back to school in my 50s just for personal improvement. And I sat in your class, and you looked at me and you asked me if I had any college units. Had I ever gone to college before? And I had, right out of high school, but I didn't take it serious enough. And based on your encouragement of coming to a community college in my 50s just to do something fun, I have now completed my master's in general psychology, and I am now presently in a graduate certificate class. And so you definitely make a difference. I really knew the answer. I knew that your love for students is just awesome. It has made such a difference in so many lives, and I'm a testament to that. So when you speak of people who are CEOs of companies and bank presidents and professors and the whole thing, I know it's real. I've had the opportunity to meet Dr. This or, so excellent. Is there anything that you want to share before we close out this interview?
Well, first of all, future Dr. Kadesta Prothro Harris, because I know you're going to be enrolling into a PhD program.
Yes, I am.
I want to be very encouraging, and as also a minister, a woman clergy, woman of the faith. So that's going to be really. They're going to have to call you Reverend Dr. Kadesta Prothro Harris.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Anything, I would say that my entire life has been promoting higher education. I really believe in my heart. I mean, I love music. Everybody knows I love music. But music to me is just a pathway to higher education.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons that so many people fight against completing a higher education degree, and then sometimes they regret that as they age.
Yes.
I am not a young person anymore. I've been around a long time, and I've seen this cycle, especially amongst artists that don't have anything to fall back on. They have a room full of a lot of awards and a lot of accolades and a lot of clothing and a lot of jewelry. But how I look at it is all that stuff is fine and dandy, and that's beautiful. But when you get a certain age, the body starts decaying, and you need the ability to rest, and you need to have dedicated yourself, from my perspective, to a system or a structure that can allow you to rest in your final years.
Mm-hmm.
And higher education to me is just not finishing a degree, but it's also, although I would prefer that, it's also for career technical professionals. It's for allowing them to explore understanding how to take their craft and turn it into a business.
Sure.
It's doing whatever you can do, but to create stability for yourself so that as you age, I've made many mistakes, many challenges. Many people know I also dabble a lot in real estate, and I have a company called Mr. Gospel Real Estate.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some really good investments, some challenging investments, and I've struggled with this real estate along with teaching and playing and doing other things for close to 35, 40 years. Okay. And that was my additional side business to being a professor. This is a really emotional question for me because I don't want to offend anyone, but I really, to be perfectly honest, I think that it is not a wise thing for young people today to not complete a college education. That's just the bottom line. A lot of times people say, oh, grandma and granddaddy did it. Grandma and granddaddy was from a whole different era. But in order, especially for people of color, to be able to be competitive in society, you need to have a degree in an education. Doesn't matter how famous you are as a musician, doesn't matter what you do. There's gonna come a time where your bank account is zero.
Mm-hmm.
Happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't prepare for that, it will prepare for you.
Exactly.
So what I would leave is that encourage every young person in America and encourage every reentry professional or person in America to complete a college degree.
Excellent.
Everyone doesn't have to have a doctorate. They don't have to be as smart as Reverend Dr. Kadesta Prothro Harris. Everyone has an opportunity to gain some form of certification that will improve their life and support their families for decades and decades to come. And adding to that final statement, I just want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present my perspectives to you for your class at Grand Canyon University. And do one thing for me. Please,
Okay.
all of your teachers, let them know that I love them even though I don't know them.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much, and we'll be talking shortly.